everybody. I'm going to give you a very brief overview of Goldshore Resources. We just put out news on Friday. We drilled 79 meters at 1.28 grams per ton, and that's going to sort of frame our conversation here over the next 10 minutes. But what I can tell you is our vision is that the Moss deposit can be a top 10 producer in Canada. Usual forward-looking statements and disclaimer here. But what do we have? We've got 6.7 million ounces just off the Trans-Canada Highway, 110 kilometers to the west of Thunder Bay. We're currently drilling within the conceptual open pit that makes up that resource, where we're effectively converting waste to ore in the top 150 meters, and that's exactly what that news release on Friday sort of illustrated. We have a PEA that's going to come out from G Mining at the end of March. We expect it to be very solid, and importantly, everything in this current drill program and the type of intercepts we put out on Friday are not going to be included in this, so it's truly a base case scenario. Again, just off of the Trans-Canada, if I was going to put a big bulk tonnage gold deposit somewhere in Ontario, I couldn't think of a better place than this. And then finally, strong management team. I come from Newmont Mining. Pete Flindell, our VPX, as well from Newmont Mining, so we've got a good sense of how to progress projects through the various stage gates. So one thing about the Moss deposit is it's not static. This asset came from Wesdome Mining in 2021. Goldshore launches. It's got 3 million ounces in it at the time. 17 months later, 78,000 meters of drilling, and we're sitting here at 6.7 million ounces. And I'm going to tell you that that growth trajectory is not finished. I think it's got some room to go. So when you have an asset of this quality, I mean, obviously we have three pillars that we're going to advance with equal intent. We've touched on the growth, the resource is growing. We've got this 15,000 meter drill program in the pit. Obviously that's going to add ounces. And we also have the blue sky potential. This was one of the shockers for me personally when I came into the story, that the structures right beside this deposit had never been explored. So we're going to do that first set of work, get a geochem survey done, get a geophysical survey done, compare it to what Moss looks like, and get out there and hopefully drill for a new discovery. As I said, the economic studies being accomplished or being done by G Mining, we expect that out by the end of March. We really are using sort of pre-fees level costing estimates, so this is not going to be a marketing document. We're really trying to give guidance to our shareholders moving forward. And one thing that I would say about this is you can expect us to see good grades and a good ounce profile, particularly in the first 5 years, which is crucial. On the permitting side, obviously we can't just leave that alone. You can do all the great technical work in the world, but if you're not advancing on permitting, you're not advancing with your discussions with First Nations, you don't stand a chance. And so obviously that is a third pillar for us that we advance daily, and we've engaged with 180 Consulting to help us through sort of leading our external permitting team. With respect to board management, I mean, look, Pete Flindell is a guy I'd point you to. This is his 10th development project globally, taking it through the studies and into production. I could think of no better partner to have than Pete. And then with respect to the board, we're covering our skill sets from a capital markets perspective, geology perspective, engineering perspective. So, we're a well-balanced board, ready to execute on advancing this and de-risking the asset moving forward. Quick mention on cap structure. There's 330 million shares outstanding. We're about a $90 million market cap right now. Roughly, because we're drilling, we're probably 17 million bucks in the bank currently. But I want to point out the strategic shareholder. The SAF group, the principals of the SAF group have invested, Brian Pace Braga in particular, and so we can really put our arms around 40% of the co between the strategic investor that came in November of 2023 and board management. So we're very well held in that regard. Okay, so what is the Moss deposit? Well, as I say, it's 6.7 million ounces right now. We've got 1.5 million ounces at about 1.23 grams in indicated, the balance 5.2 million ounces at 1.1 in inferred. If I was going to tell you, what kind of project can Moss grow up to become, I'd tell you something like Greenstone from size, from grade perspective, strip ratio perspective. We have a lot of de-risking to do, but that's what we're hoping to actually grow up to become. What you see here is the property package outlined in the yellow polygon, and what I'd like to draw your attention to is the yellow and green line. The yellow is the Trans-Canada Highway clipping the northern edge of the property boundary. The green is the power. So from an infrastructure standpoint, absolutely fantastic, and only 110 clicks to the west of Thunder Bay. You can see the white rectangle. That is our area of focus. That's 6 million ounces of the 6.7 within the Moss deposit itself. That's where our dollars are going, because every ounce we can find in there is going to be accretive to the economic performance. So you're going to see us laser focused in that regard. The other thing to tell you is, it's a 35-kilometer long mineralized trend. We haven't scratched the surface. This can become everybody says it can become a district-style play, but if you take a look at the East Coldstream asset, just shy of 600,000 ounces and open to the northeast, kind of tells you the kind of discovery potential that's out there. So, we've definitely got the proper land package to expand greatly. So what you're seeing here is a long section of the deposit. It's 3.6 kilometers long. You can see the open pits highlighted in white. That's 235,000 meters of drilling in there. So what I'll tell you is, yes, it's open at depth. Yes, it's open along strike like everybody else will tell you, but let's go to the low-hanging fruit. Let's talk about what's in the conceptual open pit as a starter. So what you're seeing here in the white drill traces, this is our proposed drill program. You can see it's all within the pit. Why are we doing this? Is it just to convert inferred to indicated? Nope. It's actually because we can convert waste to ore. And that's the key. And that's what that last intercept that we put out on Friday's all about. 79 meters, 1.28 grams. We got wider shear zones than were expected in the resource model. We extended shear zones from depth closer to surface. All that's just going to be accretive moving forward with the economic study. This is what it looks like. It's a series of shear zones, vertically oriented. And what you see here is an area of the deposit that's been well drilled. You can see the symmetry both to the left and the right of the central corridor and how those shear zones sort of dissipate a little bit. But let's go to the northeast part of the deposit. What do we see? We see a third of the picture missing. So yeah, we got to go drill there, and that's what we're doing this winter. We're going to add ounces where we know there's shear zones at depth, let it extend it up to surface, convert waste to ore, and then let's add that into the next study after the PEA, which will be the PFS. So again, a lot of easy, low-hanging fruit from a growth trajectory. All right, what can this deposit deliver in terms of intercepts? Well, 50 to a couple hundred meters of 1 to 2 grams per ton, crossing the 100-gram meter threshold several times. For my career, when I was working with Newmont, that's sort of a marker that you put down. And obviously, it's good to see it. The deposit also kicks grade, something that you do want to see. So all the things being equal, we see the right type of intercepts coming out of this. This speaks to the regional perspective of the structures that are highlighted in yellow here. These are mineralized structures. We know they're mineralized either from rock chips or a smattering of drill holes. There's 23 kilometers of them, and they've never been explored. There's never been a geochemical survey here. We're doing that. We're getting top of bedrock sampling because the cover's quite complex, muskeg, complex till cover. So let's just touch the top of bedrock and get the gold signatures along those structures. And the other thing that's never been done is a geophysical survey over the Moss deposit. When I worked for Newmont, exploring in the near mine setting, I called it cheating. You go to the deposit, you figure out its signature, geophysics, geochem, geology, look for the repeating pattern and start drilling. And that more often than not paid dividends. That work is just being initiated now. You can expect us to develop drill targets, and we'll get after them later on in 2025. Permitting. Obviously, this is absolute mission critical. The company's 3.5 years old. We've got 3.5 years of environmental baseline data. We know that we have to continue down that track, so we're ticking off all of the environmental studies that need to be done. We're proactively engaged with our partners in the First Nations, and 180 Consulting is leading that effort. But I really want you to understand that that's something that we take seriously, and it's just as much of our program as is drilling, as is economic studies. This is a big part of what we do to advance the asset and to basically shorten the permitting timelines. So if I kind of put the other big ones together out there and say, okay, how do we compare just from a grade perspective? We know we got 6 million ounces, so we got scale, but how are you looking from a grade perspective? We're right in the mix. And I think that just sort of demonstrates, okay, let's get let's get this asset de-risked. Let's move it through the economic studies, and we can become one of these great Canadian gold deposits. So look for us to do that moving forward. So again, from a catalyst perspective, drill results coming out over the next several months will not be included in the PEA. PEA comes out at the end of March, and then you'll see those regional targets, discovery-based targets moving on from there. So it's a very short 10 minutes. I hope that gave you a good overview of where we're at. And please follow our news moving forward. Thank you.